This is Minecraft. I've seen videos online showcasing Minecraft with ultra realistic graphics, so I decided to download a couple of mods that totally overhaul Minecraft's terrain generation, as well as mods like Conquest Reforged that add over 14,000 new blocks to the game, with the goal of starting a fresh new Minecraft world and experiencing what it's like to play with these mods installed. Hey, welcome back to our fresh start Minecraft world. We're back in the tavern. I think today I want to do a little bit more building here. There's some things that I would like to change about the tavern, and a little bit later on I would actually like to head back home and start redecorating the house that we built in the beginning. And I absolutely love the way this world looks at nighttime. It is absolutely gorgeous. So one of the first things I actually want to change about the tavern is actually the fireplace. In the last video I got a comment suggesting that I add hay underneath the campfire that's up there, and it would actually make the smoke rise up higher, so I really want to do that. And then I would also like to change up our entrance to the basement a little bit. I like the slope effect that we have here, but I think we can do a little bit more blending with our textures, so I want to have a nice smooth transition from our cliffstone cobble to our regular cobble, so I'll work on that as well. And it looks like the sun is starting to come up, and I absolutely love the way this world looks, especially during the day. A little bit later on, I might also want to go find some horses. I don't have any saddles though, unfortunately. But let me quickly take care of this witch that we have here. There we go. So this is something I never knew that you could do. So let's add a hay bundle underneath our campfire here. And as you can see now, the campfire smoke rises up way higher than it did before, which is really, really cool. So I really want to know how this looks from a distance. So I want to head on over to the watchtower that we built, which could also use some redecoration as well. And I wanted to thank you guys so much. The support on this series has been absolutely incredible, and I've been having so much fun playing on this Minecraft world with everybody. So heading up to the watchtower, I actually have this really big open piece of land here. And something we don't have yet in this world is actually a farm. So I think this would be the perfect spot for a windmill and a nice little farmer's home and huge fields of wheat and potatoes. I think it would just make sense that we have a nice big farm next to the tavern that supplies it with fresh crops and food. And also we don't really have from a survival perspective, we don't really have a steady source of food in this world other than finding pigs. So that'll be really, really cool. Oh wow, yeah. I can definitely see a huge difference in the smoke tower. All right, let's head on up to the watchtower. So this is Bear's Den, and Bear's Den is actually a name suggestion that I got from my channel member Zuzu, so shout out to Zuzu. And if you guys are interested in seeing videos just like this before everyone else does, feel free to click the join button below or in the description to find out more. And Bear's Den has a beautiful view of the angry bear. And a little bit later on, I want to head on over back home and add a chimney to that house, as well as make it a little bit bigger. When I first built that house, I didn't really have a lot of materials to make it, so I want to actually expand it a little bit, build ourselves a nice little mansion as well. I absolutely love mods like Lithosphere and Still Life. The terrain generation here is just fantastic looking. And of course we have mods like Distant Horizons, which lets us see way out in the distance. And in the last episode, I asked for some ideas on what we should build out on the coast, and I wanted to give a huge shout out to Anna Scarlett for the idea that we should build a coastal town out there. Yeah, this world is really starting to turn out nicely. All right, here we are back at the Hungry Bear, and I want to have a nice transition from our cobblestone to our cliffstone cobble that we have on the interior here. So all I'm going to do is simply cut out some of these blocks here and replace it with our cliffstone cobble. Of course, we got to have our drain there. For some reason, I really like the idea of having a drain down here just because I feel like if it rains, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that they really enjoy watching my videos, which honestly to me is the biggest compliment. So I'm curious to hear if you guys are watching on TV or if you guys are watching on a second monitor. And I'm always curious to hear what you guys have going on, if you're playing on your own Minecraft world, if you guys are working on school stuff. And I think for this little basement area, adding these little, like, kind of filling in the corners here really kind of adds to the look. And then to really make this stand out, I want to actually add some slabs like this. And this will just help stick out from the wall a little bit, kind of giving it even more depth than just having regular cobblestone there. And I feel like this basement area looks a lot better as well. Today's just going to be more of a relaxed, chill building episode. We may go on some adventures a little bit later on. Today's my day off, and I can't think of a better way to spend it than hanging out with you guys and playing some Minecraft. This is honestly my favorite thing to do. So let's actually clear ourselves a little bit of a pathway here, something like that. So the cool thing with Conquest Reforged is that it adds so many blocks that it gives us a huge variety that we're able to add to our builds. So instead of our slabs like this, I actually want to add what's called vertical slabs or vertical quarters like this. I feel like this actually makes the entranceway a little bit more gradual. Just adding this vertical quarter here, and then we can simply blend upward like that. And let's do the same thing here. Perfect. I think that looks really cool. That looks a lot better than it being just flat. And we can even do the same thing in this corner as well. I really like filling in the corners. I feel like this just, when you have mods like Conquest Reforged, this is stuff that I love to do. I love to just nerd out over the details like this. I think it's really, really fun. And then additionally, we also have these quarter slabs, which we can add kind of around the edges of the build like this. And these act as kind of like a lip. So again, just more detailing that we can throw in here. Never hurts to have details in your build. Let's see, maybe we can actually bring these out more. And there's something that we can throw in here and fill these corners in so it looks a little bit better. So what we can throw into these corners is actually these 1/8 slabs. These fit perfectly into the corner and really help. And let's actually kind of blend these in a little bit more, filling in the corners like this. Yeah, and I feel like this immediately looks a lot better than how we had it. And for me, it's all about adding the details like this that really make builds special. And I really love how the tavern looks at nighttime, especially with our new fireplace and the little horse stable that we have out front. So currently you can see we have a very basic gate here that doesn't really keep anything out. Eventually, I think I want to add maybe either a wooden fence or maybe some sort of shrub wall around the entire tavern. I think that'd be really, really cool. But part of me also likes the fact that it's open. So we'll have to kind of figure out what I want to do with that. But for now, let's head to bed, and then we can head back home, or head back to our house off on the hill there and work on that. Alrighty, now it's daytime, and I absolutely love the Bliss shaders. This is one of my favorite shader packs of all time. Just how the sun shines through the trees like that looks so satisfying. So eventually I do want to make a pathway from our house all the way to the tavern. So as we're making our way back home, I'm gonna actually clear out some of the trees. And this is gonna be really quick because we're using Panda's falling tree mod, which is really comes in handy, especially when you need to clear out a large forest like this. So I'm just gonna kind of cut some of the trees that are directly in the path here. Eventually I do want to actually start naming all the roads as well, because pretty much every part of this world has some sort of lore or story behind it, which I really love to do in Minecraft worlds. It helps, for me, it helps keep the game kind of fresh. Minecraft being a sandbox game, right, really leaves that kind of stuff up to you as a player. So I absolutely love coming up with lore and names for everything. And walking through the woods really reminds me of like playing Oblivion or something, or maybe even Skyrim. But I absolutely love how gloomy the woods are. So as we're making our way through the woods, in the last video I asked for some name suggestions on what we should name the woods here. And I wanted to give a huge shout out to Dan Specterboy for the name suggestion, the Ghoulshade Woods. I really love that. The woods are actually, what's kind of cool about that name is I feel like these woods really do have a lot of mobs that still spawn in them even during the day. So I think Ghoulshade is just the perfect name for it. So thank you so much for that name suggestion. I really appreciate it. And as I'm walking through the woods, I really do just feel like I'm playing Oblivion or maybe Skyrim. And I've even gotten comments saying that this mod pack really reminds them of Vintage Story, which is a game that I've never actually played before. So I'm definitely interested in trying that at some point, but it's really cool. So parts where the forest gets really dense, this is where falling tree really comes in handy here. And I think for the pathway through the woods, I'm really just gonna go for kind of a similar idea to what we did near the tavern. Kind of doing a mix between cobblestone and dirt paths, I think would be the best way to do a pathway like this, since it is such a long pathway through the woods. And we are getting just tons and tons of materials. I'm gonna have to actually put maybe a chest out here or something to store all the logs that we're collecting. And what's kind of cool about heading home is I just realized I've never actually explored this side of the map before. We still have so many woods that we have to explore, and I'm really excited to see what's out there. I think the name Ghoulshade really fits the vibe of these woods. As you can see, there's a skeleton kind of walking by here. So it's kind of cool. Since the forest is so dense, it actually makes traveling really dangerous, which I really love. I love it when my worlds have a sense of adventure or a sense of danger to them. It just makes it so much more interesting to traverse through. And it really gives me a legitimate reason to actually build a pathway between my builds, because otherwise it would be, you know, very risky to traverse between the builds. I really like Panda's falling tree mod. This makes it so much faster, and I really like the included animations as well. So you may notice I'm able to clear out the grass really quickly, and that's using a mod called Diggus Maximus, which is a vein mining mod. And by pressing a toggleable hotkey on my mouse, I'm able to kind of indicate like, hey, I want to vein mine similar blocks. So in this case, I'm targeting grass, so it's deleting all the grass that's within proximity of each other, which is really, really helpful. So I want to put a chest out here in the woods just so we can quickly store all of the logs that we got. We're already starting to stack them up here. I'm also going to dot some torches here as well. What's kind of cool about our builds being so far apart is it really gives me a reason to explore the world. And it takes about, I would say it takes a solid 5 minutes to actually walk from the tavern to our home here. So it's really, really cool. I've actually gotten a few comments mentioning that this world really reminds them of like an Elder Scrolls map, which to me is like the craziest compliment ever because I absolutely love the Elder Scrolls. I'd love to play Skyrim for the channel, so if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know in a comment. Or if you guys want to see other games as well. I've gotten a few comments saying I should try out Vintage Story, Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I'm terrible at. I don't know if you guys have ever played Kingdom Come Deliverance. This Conquest Reforged really reminds me of Kingdom Come Deliverance, but man, I am terrible at that game. You can already see we have some zombies chasing us through the woods here. See, we even have some foxes running around here. I think that'd be so cool to actually tame a fox, but I haven't found any berry bushes, so not sure how we're going to be able to do that. Spiders as well. Perfect, and here we are back at home. I'm absolutely in love with how still life and Lithosphere generate terrain. It actually took me quite a while to generate this world seed because sometimes you tend to, with how still life and Lithosphere kind of work, is the terrain generates so largely that if your initial spawn is in like a desert, you'll be stuck in the desert for thousands of blocks. So it's like, it's really fun from a cinematic standpoint, but sometimes it can be super hard to find like a world that you can actually play in survival. I'm going to quickly clear out the trees that are right in front of the house. And here we are back at home finally. So this was the house that I first built when I started the series, and it's really quaint and I'm really excited to actually start renovating it and giving it some upgrades. But it's nice to be back home. It's actually perfectly safe. We have a fence all the way around and we can actually see our watchtower off in the distance, which is so cool. I absolutely love Distant Horizons. It's one of my favorite mods. And I wonder if we can even see the tavern. I guess not really. The tavern is so far off in the woods that, or it's so covered in the trees that we're not actually able to see it. So my vision for the house is I actually want to extend it outwards. My goal with the house is I really want it to be almost a mansion on the hillside here. You can see a small little farm that I planted here, but we've been out of simulation distance, so it hasn't really grown since we've been here. And this house doesn't actually have a proper name, so if you guys have any name suggestions, let me know in a comment. And if I end up choosing your home name, I'll give you a shout out in the next video. But you can see, nice simple little home here. Thankfully I brought my gray bed with me so we can sleep in the night here. Oh yeah, beautiful morning with the sun shining through the trees here. See Bear's Den, see the ocean as well. So thankfully we still have a chest full of limestone cobble that we'll be able to use to expand the house. And I quickly placed down another chest here just so we can dump all of our wood that we've collected here. So for the house here, I'm thinking we can just start off with a really basic outline. I don't really have an exact plan for how I want the house to look, so I'm just going to kind of follow along with the terrain here. And this is like a building style that I've kind of developed over time. I used to spend so much time actually planning out my builds and trying to make them perfect, and it really kind of made me burn out with Minecraft because I would spend all this time thinking about builds instead of actually building. So this will be kind of nice. Again, I want the house to be pretty large, so I'm just gonna expand off to the side here. I'm gonna have to get rid of some of our decorations, but we can always come back in and add those in later, so not a big deal at all. And we even have this mine that's below here, so this is eventually going to connect into the house almost as a basement. I think for now we're actually just going to clear out the farm here. I think I also want to extend it out just a little bit over here. This will give our build a nice elevation and a nice weighty, prominent kind of look, especially if we're looking at it from the tower or from the tavern down below. So kind of coming over to the front of the house, I have this pathway that was leading to my farm over there, and I was thinking maybe we could even add like a bridge sort of effect. So what I'm going to actually do is cut out this wall, and we're going to basically have an archway here. And the idea is you'll be able to walk straight through underneath some sort of bridged section here. And then this could also lead nicely into the basement as well. But I love to give my builds just wacky little shapes and lore. I think it just makes it so much more fun. So I'm thinking to really make this bridge effect kind of work, I'm gonna have to actually add more separation between this house and kind of our extension over here, or our add-on, I guess would actually be the word for it. So I'm gonna bring this wall in just a little bit here. I think for me, a lot of Minecraft is problem solving. So I absolutely love building without a plan like this because now it gives me a, kind of lets me solve things. And I've never actually been the type of person to be able to plan builds out. So this is kind of my way of doing it here. And what's really cool is things start off looking so plain, but as we continue to build, we can add more and more details thanks to mods like Conquest Reforged. And to me, that's what makes building so satisfying. When we're able to start off with just a basic shape like this and actually come in and start detailing it and things really start coming together. So I guess almost in a way, this might be sort of a townhouse style build, having like two separate buildings and then connecting them with sort of like an archway or like a bridge. And maybe we can even turn this middle section into a horse stable. I think that'd be kind of a cool idea. Since technically this area doesn't have a horse stable quite yet, this could, I guess, almost be a garage for the horses is kind of the way I was thinking it. So we could have some actual like wood stables along the wall here. And down here leads to a basement and maybe a staircase up into the actual larger part of the house here. So I decided to shorten up the shape a little bit, that way it's a little bit more compact, but we still have a nice wacky little outline here. And now what I'm going to do with my limestone cobble here is actually just build up some of the walls here, and then basically I'm going to follow the same pattern where I use tutoring and stone in combination with each other. But I think it'd be really nice to have this combination of stone and tutoring, otherwise I think it would look really plain if it was all just tutoring. Same on this side actually. So now it's time we actually start doing the tutoring around the house here. And I'm going to do the same sort of pattern here where I switch between cross sections and the regular box frames here. And I was debating on switching to a lighter tutoring like we have down at the tavern, but for some reason I kind of like keeping this house as the ash tutoring that we have here. So now that we have the tutoring on here, I feel like the build is already starting to really look like an actual house. So this side of the house looks pretty plain because it's very, very flat. And a really easy way to fix that is we can actually come up here with our tutoring and just kind of bring this out like this. And the idea behind these is these are just going to be some windows that we have sticking out here. And already I feel like this looks so much better. We're kind of following the same theme here where we brought the tutoring out from the stone bit there. I'm thinking maybe we might add some stone column in the middle just to kind of break this up. But for now, I kind of like how it is. I was also thinking if maybe we could even do a balcony would be kind of cool as well, because down there is sort of like our, I guess the best way to say it would be a carport, but obviously for horses. This side, I feel like we don't have to bring anything out just because we have a nice use of depth between everything, so I don't feel like we have to do anything here. But kind of looking at this area, this might be a nice area for a balcony because we'd have a beautiful view of Bear's Den out there as well as the mountains. So we'll definitely keep that in mind. Now with some of our extra wood tutoring, let's just kind of come on this side and do the same thing over here where we bring out some of the walls here. So now that we have a shell, I think it's time that we start doing the roof, and we're going to follow the same sort of roof pattern here, just using slate. And then once we get the exterior finished, then we can start coming in and thinking about how we want to lay out the floor plan inside here. All right, let's head back inside the home. I actually really love this little seating area. It actually has a nice view of the sunset over here as well. So thankfully we have plenty of old slate roof tiles that we can use, and I'm just going to turn all these into a combination of stairs as well as full blocks here, using the stone cutter here. So the best way to think about Conquest Reforged is pretty much everything in survival mode you have to use the stone cutter for. So if you want to get access to all the 14,000 different blocks, you just have to use the stone cutter. So I'm going to simply cut these roof tiles into stairs like this. And now from here we can actually start connecting all the roofs here. So since we didn't really plan out the roof here, it's going to be a little bit awkward trying to, at least for me, trying to figure out how exactly to make this work, but that's kind of the fun of it. But generally, I like my roofs to have a little bit of an overhang, so I always come out a single block and then just kind of go along the edges here. But I really love the combination of slate and stone, as well as the tutoring. I feel like I feel like the slate roof really gives this build like a good sense of color. Otherwise it'd be kind of plain just doing like wood and stone. And kind of thinking about it, I almost want the roof to be a little bit steeper, just like we have at the tavern. So I'm gonna try and think about a way to do that. I think I'll have to do a combination of stairs and full blocks in order to get that sort of look that I'm going for. So I had enough stairs to complete the bottom layer of the roof, and then I think for these next layers I want to actually do full blocks, and this will help give our roof a nice steep look here. Kind of noticing off in that direction, I actually really like the look of that tree. I think that would be such a cool spot for maybe like a huge castle or something later down the road. I think the cool thing about mods like Distant Horizons is it really lets you see the scale of everything. We can even see over there's maybe a lava pool or something glowing off in the woods there. But it would be so fun to have a huge fortress up on the hill there. And I absolutely love building my structures super far apart, just because it gives me obviously an excuse to explore the worlds a little bit. And it's really fun seeing how all the different parts that we have here interconnect with each other, which is another reason why I love mods like Distant Horizons and connecting all my builds with pathways. So we have 128 more slate roof tiles here. This might be enough to do it. Not quite sure though. But even with what we have done so far, I feel like this is really gonna look nice, especially when we see this house from the tavern or even from Bear's Den. Now the house has a much nicer elevation and it's a lot more prominent on the hill here. So it's another beautiful day with the sun shining through the trees here. So I think some of these sections are gonna be a little bit awkward since I have to connect the two roofs together, but I think it's such a small detail up here, it doesn't really matter too much, so I'm not really concerned about making this perfectly flush with each other. My whole approach to building is I really like to start off simple and then come in later and actually start decorating and detailing things out, because the details is when Conquest Reforged really starts to shine. Right now I'm just using very basic kind of building techniques or vanilla building techniques, but once we have everything laid out and kind of blocked up, then I can start coming in and adding in, you know, quarter slabs on the roof here, because it's the details like that that really make Conquest Reforged special. You can see here on the original roof, I actually added some slate slabs here just to kind of add in some extra detail, and I'm planning to do the same on this roof once I have it completely finished here. I think we're gonna connect it just like this. So I feel like this is gonna be kind of cool. We have like a really interesting kind of roof here just because of how the build is shaped. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this roof when it's finished. Again, just kind of blocking up with full blocks at this point, and we'll have to actually go and grab more slate roof tiles because we are quickly running through our stack here. Yep, there we go. So I feel like going from the stairs to the full block really gives the roof a nice prominent kind of look and very steep. So I feel like that's really going to help the roof stand out, especially as we see it from farther distances. So kind of stepping into our mine here, one of the kind of interesting little quirks about playing this combination of mods is that these slate roof tiles generate naturally in Lithosphere, because Lithosphere kind of uses whatever blocks you have. So it's kind of a glitch in the terrain generation. So I think but in our case, it's actually very helpful because it allows us to quickly grab slate roof tiles instead of having to actually get limestone cobble, throw it into the stone cutter. There's our diamond pickaxe done with. But luckily we had another one that we made, and we have plenty of slate roof tiles that we're able to use now. So yeah, the way terrain generates in Lithosphere and Still Life, it kind of uses whatever blocks you have installed. So in this case, it's using the blocks that Conquest Reforged has, which is slate roof tiles, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but in our case, it works out perfectly. And now we have plenty of slate roof tiles we can throw up on here. And I cannot get over the views from up here. I love those mountains. Eventually, I want to give every little part of this world a name, just like we have to name locations. And I'm trying to think of, I'm wondering if you guys have any suggestions for maybe some sort of map mod. Currently, I'm using Xaero's map, and I may even start using Xaero's minimap as well, because that map allows us to draw in waypoints, and we can name those waypoints, and I think that'd be such a great way to actually name all of our locations. But if you guys have any other map suggestions on what I can use, let me know. I think it'd be really cool if we had a physical paper map in the game, but I'm more than happy to use like a GUI menu like Xaero's. So pressing M on my keyboard, you can see this is what Xaero's map looks like. And you can even see the beach out there. And this is what I'm using currently, but if you have any suggestions, or maybe there's like skins that make this map look more like a paper map, that'd be so cool. So let me know if you guys know of anything that's like that. Oh yeah. I think the Bliss shaders just look absolutely fantastic because there's like a nice haze to the distant terrain there that Bliss kind of adds in. And I love how the sun is shining off the peaks of the snow cap there. And it has a nice glow to it, a nice little bloom sort of effect. Yeah, this looks absolutely perfect. I love how steep and just big the roof looks like. And of course, I'm thinking of maybe where we can throw in a chimney, because I do want to add a nice roaring fireplace to this homestead here. But now that we have the basic exterior done, I think it's time we actually start doing the interior a little bit. So we're making really good progress on the exterior, and I'm really excited to actually start working on the interior of the house now. And it's kind of funny, we have windows literally looking into our house right now, so we'll have to knock down all these walls and kind of figure out how we want to lay down everything. All right, so now we can actually start tearing down some of these walls and properly connecting our house here. Perfect. Now, my vision for this area, or this little archway that we have running underneath the house here, this is going to be all stone, and then for the flooring I'm just going to do regular oak flooring. Too crazy here. And again, once we get everything kind of how we want it, then we can actually start coming in and using all the different detailing blocks that Conquest Reforged introduces to the game. That's when this build's really going to start feeling special and nice. So I do like the idea of having windows in here, but we're going to have to actually fix this window. Thinking what I can do is I can have an alternative entrance into this section of the house. Obviously we have the front door here, but then I guess we could just have a little bit of a side door, because I'm not quite sure how I want to do the windows in here. We can also cut a entrance into this part of the building here. So all I want to do now is actually just start cutting out the floor here, and then I'm going to use one of my favorite mods that I've been using is called Diggus Maximus. And as you can see, it allows us to really quickly clear out this flooring here. Now this leaves us room to actually come in with our planks. So what I was thinking we can actually do is, instead of doing stone right here, we can actually just replace this with wood, and then on the bottom side we'll use stone slabs, and then that'll still give us the stone exterior, but it'll make this section of the flooring look a lot nicer because we'll have a continuous layer of oak planks going all the way across instead of some of it being stone and some of it being wood. This will just look so much better. Thinking we can just kind of cut down this wall like this as well, because I want to have a nice big kind of archway going through the center of the house here. And again, this section up here is just going to kind of be the bridge between these two buildings, just because I feel like this looks a little bit more interesting. And then also this area underneath here is going to be maybe like a little pass through, as well as kind of a spot where you can hitch up your horses. I'm also going to cut out where these windows are, just so we can have a nice uniform look on the bottom. All right, so now we have the floor in, as well as the roof kind of following along here. And now I want to actually start cutting out the windows here. It's going to be really fun trying to figure out what I want to do with all the different rooms that we have here. We have so much more space to work with, and my vision for this house is I really want it to be this nice manor house on the hill that kind of overlooks the valley that it's built over, and have plenty of windows that we can look out over our beautiful view here. And I think this area right in front here would actually be a perfect spot for a balcony. So I'm just going to kind of preemptively cut out a little section here and leave a doorway open, window looking out this way towards the woods. And like I was saying before, I haven't even really fully explored all these woods past the house here. So we still have so much more to see in this world. And I'm just going to kind of cut out where I think some windows would look nice. They don't have to be super, windows don't really have to be uniform. I'm just gonna kind of put them where I think they would look interesting. So in the stone here, I want to have smaller windows that we can put archways in. Kind of my idea here is, since we built on uneven land, this little area down here is going to be sort of our basement. And I really like having windows like this because we can add archways here, and it really makes this look like actual basement windows. I'm just going to kind of cut out areas like that. Now we have this section up at the front here, which is the perfect spot for an archway. I really like the idea of having a nice, huge archway window right here. So the reason I have to make this window 2 blocks wide is because the archways actually take up a full block. So we need to have space for the glass pane and then the actual archway above it. So I was thinking of having an archway on the bottom here, but I think it'd look kind of awkward. So I think I'm just going to stick with the archway on the second floor here. And And then on the bottom here, since this is more of a basement, this is just going to be, we'll just put some little cutouts here where we want to place windows later. Now I'm going to start placing in some of my windows. And as I'm working my way around the building, I'm also going to kind of look at where are some places where I can add details. So immediately I'm thinking we can definitely get rid of these full blocks and start adding in what I call these vertical quarter blocks like that. And it kind of gives this wall even more of a graduated look instead of it being so blocky. And kind of my whole approach to building is I really just try and look at what looks plain to me. And then from there, I'm like, okay, cool. This part of the build looks plain, so what can I do to actually improve it? Same with this area right here, we could add some vertical quarters here as well. So I want to start off by adding vertical quarters in this corner. This is kind of how it looks. So a really good way to think about Conquest Reforged is it's very similar to how snow works in vanilla Minecraft, meaning that everything you kind of build is going to be built by layer. And I think for this section, I'm actually going to continue the things all the way up. So everything can be placed incrementally and by layer. So it is very similar to how snow works in Minecraft. And as you can see, that looks so much better than it just being a flat face there. And we can even do the same thing on this side as well. And for the vertical quarters, I like to actually go 3 clicks. So it gives us this nice column look here. So I'm going to do that around certain sections of the build here. And as I'm passing along these windows, I also have these quarter slabs that I really like adding. And these make for nice little windowsills here. But I think this section would look perfect with some vertical quarters. Thinking I kind of want to just get rid of this wall entirely and do this all out of vertical quarters. So if we get kind of a side-by-side shot, you can see how much of a difference that little detail makes for the build. And I feel like that really helps the build stand out. And then also this is a perfect section for our vertical quarter slabs like that. So we'll have to actually make more vertical quarters. But before we do that, another fun detail we can actually add here is, in addition to all the other blocks, we also have vertical slabs. And I love to place these along the corners like this of the build. I feel like this just adds more weight to the corners and makes them look a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to do that on the corners here. Now it frames out this window nicely. And this is why I love mods like Conquest Reforged, because it really lets me just go into crazy amounts of detail with my builds, which is what I really love to do. Even when I play regular vanilla Minecraft, I still love doing stuff like this. You know, using like stairs as windowsills or as supports. You know, I love to just add texture to all my builds because I feel like it's so much fun. I also want to add vertical quarters here as well. So we're going to have to actually make quite a few more. So just like we did with the stone, I also want to do the same thing with our tutoring here, because I feel like this makes this part of the wall look so much nicer. Having this little, I feel like this looks so much cleaner and just adds more visual interest to our build. And to me, this is when mods like Conquest Reforged really shine. I think the reason I enjoy Conquest Reforged so much is because it's still very much regular vanilla Minecraft, but it just adds additional details that you can add in. So, you know, doing things like this to the tutoring to kind of make it look a little bit more visually interesting. And the thing with Conquest Reforged is you really have to take your time with it. There's not really a fast way to do anything, which I really enjoy. I feel like the more time you spend in your Minecraft world, the more special it kind of feels, because it took a certain amount of work to actually get it complete. There we go. And just by doing simple stuff like that, I feel like this side of the house looks a lot better. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and I'm really excited to actually start furnishing the interior of the house because the exterior is almost done here. Before we move to the interior, there's just a couple more things that I want to do on the exterior here. I really want to actually start adding in our archways. It's going to make this section look so much cooler. There we go. That's exactly what I was looking for. A nice archway through the bottom here. And let me continue the archway like that. So I really like the idea of leaving the windows here. And all I'm going to do is actually just put the archways alongside the windows. So that way we can still have those windows looking into this section. Yeah, I'm not really sure if this tunnel would have like an actual name. I'm just kind of thinking of it as almost like a carport, I guess, but obviously there's no cars in Conquest Reforged. So I guess it's just sort of like basically a tunnel through here. And now to make this look a little bit better, what we can actually do is I'm gonna have to get rid of the archways here on the windows, but to replace those, we're gonna actually use stone slabs and just kind of do this all along the bottom here. So that way we can have the wood on the top that we actually walk on, but then on the bottom here, it just looks like a continuous stone kind of archway here. I feel like that looks really cool. It's going to kind of cut through here with the pathway, because I'm wanting the pathway to come all the way through here. Not quite sure what I want to put back here. Maybe a little garden would be kind of nice, but I think my shovel has just enough durability to actually get this pathway done here. All right, perfect. This actually looks really, really cool. So now it's time we actually add in our windows. One of the cool things that Conquest Reforged adds is actually these wooden Gothic windows. Since the nearest beach is literally thousands of blocks away, it's really nice that we're able to make windows out of wood. Even though it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, I still think it's actually kind of cool. And then we have to fill in our huge window right here. Before we do that, let's throw in our archways. That way we have a nice curved window. And then all we have to do is add in our windows just like this. And then to complete the look that we're going for here, I want to actually add in window facades just like that. That way it looks like the window itself is actually curved, or the glass is curved, I should say. To actually replace this with stone. This gives us a beautiful view out towards the ocean there. Of course, we have to come in here and actually add a doorway for our balcony here. But so far, I'm pretty happy with how the exterior looks. It's kind of funny, it just connects randomly to our house here. So I think now's the perfect time that we can actually start decorating the interior here with furniture. Maybe we can start thinking about where we want to place down our actual staircase on this section. I think maybe right here in front of the window would be sort of a cool spot. And we can just do a spiral staircase all the way up. Since we have some additional archways, we might as well just use these here. Throw those in as a decoration. So another mod I have installed in addition to Conquest Reforged is the Believe mod. And these introduce spiral staircases to the game, which I think look absolutely fantastic. And these are going to fit perfectly in this little section that I have here. It's actually really, really cool. I didn't think they could connect like that, but I really like the way this looks. Now all we have to do is add some planks here to kind of fill in the gap. Just going to kind of fill it in here. So actually, I'm kind of thinking I want the staircase to actually be in one more block, so that way it gives this window a much more prominent feel in the build. There we go. I feel like that looks a lot better having it in one block. So then at least the window has a little bit more space to kind of shine light through here. I feel like this gives me such like a library sort of vibe. So we'll definitely have to add some railings here, maybe some, I think it'd be kind of cool if we had like floor to ceiling bookshelves or something somehow. So we have plenty of these quarter slabs left, so I'm just going to kind of throw these in here just underneath the window. That gives the window a nice little sill. So somehow some pillagers actually found their way to our house. Quickly take care of this guy. He must have jumped over the fence somewhere. It's kind of funny. You can see an arrow sticking out of my character's armor. But thankfully we have all diamond tools and armor, so we're easily able to dispatch these guys. A short walk away from our house is actually a pillager camp out here in the woods. And I wonder if they somehow wandered from their camp to our house. But that seems to be all of them. I'm not noticing any more of them out here. Because in I believe it was the second episode of this series I actually cleared out that pillager camp. So I'm not sure if those were just wandering pillagers or if they are respawning there. This is absolutely stunning. I cannot get over the sunset over the mountains like that. It looks so, so cool. I actually want to make my way up this little hill here and see if I can get a little bit more height. Yeah, that looks so cool. And of course we can see bears down out there. And then we can even see the island way out in the ocean, which I really, really love. I think we might even want to add a fireplace to Bear's Den there. That way we have a smoke stack coming from there. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So the sun's starting to set. Let's head back home. You definitely don't want to be out here in the woods. The woods are dangerous enough as they are during the day. So at nighttime they become extremely dangerous. I'm going to actually, since I have plenty of torches, I'm going to start lighting up the area immediately outside of the house here. Because occasionally I do have skeletons kind of show up and shoot at me from the fence. I'm gonna get rid of this creeper here. Definitely don't want things spawning in right outside of the gate. But part of me does like leaving things a little bit unlit. But this will at least help our house stand out even more against the darkness. And I'm really curious to see what our house is gonna look like once we finish it and can check it out from the watchtower. And again, this is one of the reasons why I absolutely love building my things so far away, because it gives you a reason to actually adventure around and like walk between each build. And I just have so many plans for this world. Yeah, this is really starting to look like a stately home here. So I'm thinking what I want to do is I'll just lightly outline the layout of the rooms here. I think my idea here is this first room is going to be a mud room, so you kick off all your boots, throw up your clothes on a clothes hanger somewhere, and then you can come through here. This leads directly to the staircase. Maybe on this side I'll do a kitchen. Over here some sort of living room. I I really like the idea of having a kind of segmented house. So each room has its own little like closed off section. Kind of thinking about it, I'm not really a big fan of the spiral staircase. So let's actually get rid of this. But I do want to leave this section open, sort of as an atrium, because we have this beautiful second story window right here. But we'll have to figure out a way to integrate that. Maybe this would even be a good spot for a fireplace, but it kind of wouldn't make a lot of sense with the window being there, but I think we'll turn it into a fireplace. So let me quickly cut out some of the flooring here. So yeah, maybe this area will be our living room. Then what I'm going to do, wall it off. This section over here can be a kitchen. This is going to look really, really cool. I just really like the idea of it being a second floor kind of looking down into this room. So I'm going to kind of tweak the layout a little bit. And I'm thinking, since this section of the home is mostly stone, this would actually be a cool place for the staircase. And it'll lead directly from the mudroom that we have here into this room. So this is kind of cool. We have this little like walk-through area, and then this is going to be the main living room, kind of kitchen area over here. So we have like I don't even know how to describe this layout. I guess semi-open floor plan layout here. Kind of cool, kind of interesting. I think a little bit different. So originally I was going to use the spiral staircase from the Believe mod, but to be honest, I kind of like the idea of this staircase taking up a little bit more space. So I'm going to go with something like this, where we just kind of make our own spiral staircase. So I kind of realized I'm going to have to get rid of the slab roof here. Maybe I'll just do full blocks for that. And this is where Diggus Maximus is really going to come in handy, because I'm able to just kind of cut out huge chunks of it very quickly here. Perfect. Because I'm wanting this wall to go all the way up, and then if it's slabs, it's not able to do that. Actually, what I could do is just move the slabs up one. I like place it on the wrong block before, so let me just move it up a single block. There we go. So I only want the ceiling on this level to be 3 high, so I'm just gonna move the slabs down a single block like this. So not a big deal, kind of an easy fix here. And I'm really excited to actually start furnishing it, because right now we just have a empty shell of a home, but I really like the idea of there being a living room down there, the nice open window. It's going to be kind of weird having a fireplace underneath the window, but I think it'll just look kind of cool. So now I want to make a staircase all the way up to the attic here, because we have this huge open attic space up here, and this will allow us to quickly get up to the roof whenever we want to actually start detailing that. I'm going to add kind of a sort of this arch sort of effect here with the slabs. That way we can kind of blend from the open window. This is just like a fun little curved ceiling. Never hurts to have like random little details like that. So now from the bottom floor, it kind of blends in to the window. So I want to add some slabs kind of along here. Yeah, I really like how this looks. Now we have like a nice 2-story living room sort of deal here. And what I'm going to actually do is add these oak logs kind of as supports. Just because I feel like it helps break up the space a little bit. I want to continue these all the way up to the second floor here. So something just like this. And what I want to do here is I want to turn this into maybe an office sort of thing. So I'll have a desk here, and then it's actually going to be open here. So I'm going to add a railing. So kind of my idea behind it is something like this. We just have a simple little railing here. And what I love about the stairs from Conquest Reforged is you can actually right-click the middle sections there and take them out. So that way it looks like just a continuous beam of wood instead of there being breaks in it. That looks really, really cool. So yeah, this is going to be an office. That's also sort of a loft that looks down into the living room. It's at our archway up here as well. My vision for this is going to be a landing. So an additional seating area above the living room. I'm kind of giving this build a little bit more symmetry than I normally would. So I want this room to be an additional little bedroom up at the front. Yeah, we're landing here. That way leads to the office. This way is going to lead to the entrance of the balcony here. And then I have this original staircase from when this home was much smaller. And I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this. I think I might actually just fill it in, mainly because we don't need multiple staircases here. And I'm thinking we turn this section of the home into simply just the storage room. So I'm going to take out or I'll leave the dining tables, but I'll just fill it with tons of chests and furnaces. That'll be the work side, and this will be the living side of the home. So this took me kind of an embarrassing amount of time to come up with this layout. But the idea is you come up the staircase, you start off in the landing here that overlooks the great room. And then through here, it's going to be an office that acts as a loft as well. And then through here is going to be a small little guest bedroom that overlooks the gate. And then through here, another little kind of seating area that's going to have a balcony that comes out the front. This is going to probably be the master bedroom since it has the best view of the ocean and of Bear's Den. And then this room over here, it's a little bit of an awkward kind of entrance in here, but I kind of like it for some reason. This is just going to be an additional either bedroom, or I might connect a ladder from the room below up to here, and this could just be an additional way up. But yeah, that's kind of the layout I want to go for here. And now it's time we actually start working on the balcony. I feel like the balcony is going to fit in perfectly right there and really start making this house stand out. But so far, I'm really happy with how things are turning out, and I feel like we have a proper like manor house here now on the hill. So yeah, I moved my bed temporarily over to this side. Let me add in my vertical doors here. Perfect. Do the same thing on this side as well. Yeah, I really like this layout. For some reason, it's so wacky and weird, but I absolutely adore it. I think, of course, I want to add a window right here. So I'm just going to set these as like placeholder blocks for now. But I really like our strange little layout here. I think it's just kind of charming. All right, now I want to figure out how to do the balcony. So I think for the balcony, I kind of want to copy what we did with the tavern. So let's actually head that way because I think it'd be nice to take a little break from building and kind of go see, because I don't really quite remember how I did the balcony at the tavern. So it'll be kind of fun to walk back to the tavern and see how I did it, as well as check in with the dogs that we left over there. Eventually, I do want to make a like a better sort of sloped pathway all the way up to the manor house here. But clearing out the trees here makes it so much easier to navigate. And right here is kind of a little cross section in the road, so maybe we could put a sign here, one that points in that direction, and one obviously that leads over here to the tavern. Oh, I absolutely love. I love whenever we're able to come into like clearings of the woods like this, and you have the sign, you have the sun shining through. So yeah, it takes a solid 5 minutes, I would say, to walk from the house to the tavern. And I'm really curious to see what the house actually looks like from the tavern. So this is another good reason that we're heading back this way. There we go, I can see the tavern gate here. I'm just gonna kind of clear out the grass along the way. And here we are, back at the tavern. Really love how this looks. So it looks like for the tavern, all I did was I actually just used spruce wood and logs. So I think I'll do the same exact thing over at the house. So looking at the tavern here, I also noticed that I used shutters and flower boxes, as well as some spruce paneling alongside the tutoring on the top there. So that's something else we can do at the house. This is why it's always good to come back and visit your old builds so you can sort of remember how you did things. So we can't quite see the house from the tavern. So what I'm thinking we need to do is actually clear out these trees right here. And this should allow us to see the house, or at least the top of it. Yeah, these woods are so dense. So I'm mainly trying to clear out the taller trees right here. But a good thing about clearing out these trees is I actually need these stripped oak logs here for the balcony that we're gonna do on our house. So in theory, this should let us see the house from the tavern balcony here. So let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Oh yeah, the house looks actually huge from down here. That's so cool. Perfect, that's exactly what I'm wanting to do. So now we have a good idea of what I'm wanting to do with the balcony. And let's actually head up to Bear's Den. Ooh, the sun is actually starting to set, so this will give us a beautiful nighttime view from the tower to the house here. And we haven't even started the farm quite yet. But yeah, the more I look at this area, the more I kind of think that this is the perfect spot for a windmill, kind of nice big fields of wheat and potatoes. I absolutely love the change in elevation on this world, just having these huge mountain paths. And another cool thing about having pathways like this is right now I have just sort of a basic little layout for them, just with lanterns and cobblestone, but kind of the fun thing about leaving them slightly unfinished like this is whenever we want to, we can always come in and actually start detailing them out more, like adding additional trees or maybe like some fences and things along the way. All right, here we are. Beautiful sunset again through the mountains. I love looking at the ocean from the watchtower. Oh yeah, the house looks absolutely stunning from the watchtower here, just in time for sunset as well. I love the fade from sunset to nighttime. You can see the torches are starting to appear now that it's dark. That looks really, really cool. Now the house actually looks so much bigger. If you want to compare it, I kind of wish I took a screenshot at the beginning to show how small the house was compared to how it is now. But now it looks a lot more substantial. And once we actually build the chimney going up with the fireplace, we'll be able to see the smokestack, so we'll have to come back here later. But the tavern looks beautiful at nighttime, and we need to add more torches along the way here, because I do ideally want to see kind of the pathway winding through the valley towards the house. But I'm really happy with how things are right now. And thankfully we added a bed to the watchtower so we can just sleep through the night here. I absolutely love morning time in the tower. It is just a stunning view. So something I was thinking is I kind of want to cut through these woods here, because this is a beeline to the house, to the manor house here. And I think maybe we could even make a smaller pathway leading from our house up the mountain directly to the watchtower. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that idea. But coming through the woods here, you can see how beautiful the home looks on the hilltop here. But yeah, we could definitely do like a really small dirt path all the way up. I absolutely love interconnecting all of my builds together. It just, not only does it give me a fun little project to do, but it makes the world nice and walkable. So this episode, definitely more of a builder focused episode. Not really a whole lot of gameplay here. Eventually I do want to find my way to a stronghold, so that way I can actually defeat the Ender Dragon, because I feel like this world would benefit greatly if I had an Elytra. I know a lot of people aren't really big fans of the Elytra because they feel like it makes the world feel really small, but in my case, I'm actually looking forward to getting one. And what I really love about this valley here is that we have these really big just hills, like rolling hills going off into who knows where. And obviously we haven't even explored this section of the world yet, so that still remains to be explored. So here we are back at the house. And the reason I wanted to grab these stripped dark oak logs is because if we put these in the stone cutter, you can see it gives us access to things like beams and posts. And these are really, really cool. So I'm going to grab a couple of these vertical beams, and I'm going to actually put these just underneath the windows like this. And now it adds these little supports to the bottom of the windows, which I think really, really adds to the look here. It looks really, really cool. I'm actually kind of glad we went with the ash tutoring instead of the lighter tutoring that we have on the tavern down there, just to help differentiate everything. Yeah, perfect. I love these wood beams. To me, these really like sell the build for me and really make it come to life. So in addition to the vertical beams, I also want to make a bunch of these beam boards like this. And what these allow us to do is actually add sort of a lip to the bottom of these windows. I feel like this really helps complete the look. It looks like these little juts out actually are supported now, which I really, really like the look of. So I was kind of looking at the side of my build here, and I noticed on some of the tutoring, I actually added some vertical slabs to it to give it more depth. So I think on some space where we have open tutoring, that would be a perfect little way to fix that. So what I'm going to do for this is actually come up here and just add these vertical planks to our tutoring like that. And I feel like this makes the tutoring actually look like wood rather than it just being a flat texture. So now there's like kind of unevenness in the wood. It's kind of funny as I'm able to use these little like quarter slabs here to build my way up, which is really nice. Perfect. I really like that paneling sort of effect that we're getting here. So I feel like immediately this looks so much better just by doing, now it looks like the tutoring is kind of sticking out a little bit and supporting the roof above it. And it's not perfectly flush with the stone below it. So there we go. So I did the tutoring all the way around. Now it's time we actually work on the balcony. So kind of my vision for this is I want the balcony to kind of come out this way. Something a little bit like that. We can even have the balcony come out as far as this window. That'd be kind of interesting. Let's actually bring this out like that. Throw in our pillars. So that's kind of the basic outline of the balcony that I want to go for here. All we have to do is kind of fill everything in. I think for the balcony, I'm just going to stick with the dark oak that we have here, because since it is outside, it's going to be more weathered than the oak plank that's on the inside of the house. And I kind of like these parts where I messed up the placement and it's a little bit uneven. I kind of like that. Oh yeah, this balcony is going to give us a beautiful view of the watchtower and of the tavern even a little bit as well. That's such a cool little effect. I never really noticed that the sunlight actually follows the path of the block there. That's kind of cool. I want to fix this a little bit. All right, now what I want to do to give this balcony almost a curved effect is I want to do this where I come in with my vertical quarter slabs like this. I just add these along the edges of my my balcony here. And I feel like this just makes the balcony look a lot more natural. That kind of gives the edges of the balcony a more jagged look rather than it being perfectly square and flush. So on the bottom here, I'm going to actually continue our archways here. I'm just going to kind of fill in the corners with our stone here. So that way the the balcony actually blends into the stonework below it. I'm really happy with how this looks. This looks fantastic. Throw in our doorway to the balcony here. What I love to do with the railing is come into the corners and change these to the diagonal variant. And then I like to take out the middle blocks here. Perfect. Now we have a beautiful little balcony here in the front of our house that gives us an excellent view of the valley and the mountain. I'm actually really excited with how this is turning out. And I also have these window shutters that I want to throw in here as well, just along the house here. I feel like these are really going to help just add additional detail to the windows. So the really cool thing about the windows is you can actually choose how open or closed you want them to be. So on some of them, I'm going to leave them wide open, and then other ones are going to be kind of slightly closed like that. And kind of looking at these leaves here as well, I'm definitely going to have to add some vines growing off the roof here. So right now we're kind of doing a little mix match between the exterior and interior builds. I'm trying to bounce between the two. That way it's a little bit more interesting to watch. But as you can see, the windowsills really make this look so much better. So on this section of the house, you can see I have some leaves and vines growing off the roof. And what I want to do is I want to look around the build and sort of notice where some of the parts of the roof look plain. Then that's going to be where I start throwing in vines. So definitely like this little corner right here would be a good spot. Possibly off some of these gables here as well. So I'm just going to kind of bridge my way up here. And I want some nice vines just kind of growing just off the roof here. Doesn't really make sense why there would be vines growing on a roof, but I feel like it just kind of adds to the aesthetic, makes it look a lot nicer. And just by doing that, I feel like the roof looks immediately better. So getting an overhead shot of the roof, I think to the right of the roof where it's nice and open would be the perfect spot for a chimney. So the thing with the chimney is it's not going to totally line up with where we want the fireplace. But I think it'll look kind of cool when we have it here. I think this is about the right height that I want the chimney. So I'm going to throw in this down, put my campfire down as well. Then I'm going to add a Gothic arch right on top here. For additional detail, I want to take my vertical quarters, just throw them in the corner like this, and this will make the chimney actually look rounded rather than it being obviously square. And I absolutely love just throwing random details like this into the build. Let's do that all the way around. So I feel like the chimney is actually a little bit high, but I'm really wanting it to be kind of sticking out more. Perfect. Now we have a proper chimney coming out the house, and you can see the smokestack coming out the top. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to look, especially from the tavern and even from the watchtower as well. This is really going to help the house actually feel like a home, in my opinion, especially when we're able to see the smokestack from the distance. And now I think it's time we actually work on the fireplace, which is going to go right here below the window. So once we get the fireplace down, I want to actually start putting down the furniture as well. Let's do something this nice homey fireplace here. And I guess kind of the benefit of us doing an arch window above this is it lets us kind of put in our gray whack cobble without it reaching the exterior walls here. So I want the fireplace to have like a little bit of deepness right there. So I think the fireplace is going to be recessed into the wall a little bit, but what I would like to do is actually play around with some of these archways here. So what I'm going to do is add gray whack cobble arches to the outside here. And I feel like this gives the fireplace a nice look. And now I'm going to throw in our campfires here. And to kind of hide the fact that we're using campfires, I have quarter slabs here that I'm going to throw in. This kind of gets rid of the stone down there. Perfect. I feel like this is a cool looking fireplace. Really happy with how this is turning out. So on top of the fireplace here, I want to add some more of these vertical quarters like this. So that way it gives it kind of a lip on the top there. So a little bit of a basic fireplace, but I feel like it looks kind of nice. Has a nice curve to it, has a nice recess into the wall, and I feel like this would keep this home nice and smoky and warm. All right, so now that we have the fireplace done, I think this is the perfect time to actually start outfitting our house with some furniture. And we're gonna have to actually make our way back to the chest that I put out here. So thankfully, with all the wood that we got from clearing out the pathway to our house, we'll have plenty of supplies to actually make all the furniture. Yeah, we have plenty of logs that we're able to use, and sticks as well. So this is gonna be perfect. I was hoping we would be able to see the smokestack from the bottom here, but I think these trees are just a little bit too tall. Actually, we can kind of see it. If you look right in the center there, we can see a little bit of smoke coming out the top. And of course, there's some skeletons down here as well. There we go. Got rid of him pretty quick here. Yeah, I can't wait to actually start furnishing the home here. It's gonna look really nice. So for the living room here, I was envisioning sort of a sectional, like couch type of thing. They don't quite have that in Conquest Reforged, so we're gonna have to go with the green stools here. Then I'm also gonna add some planks like that. Kind of looks like a coffee table. And then to kind of make this look like a couch, I'm going to add vertical oak slabs like this. Just because I feel like this looks the most like a couch to me, is doing something like this. And we'll kind of, I feel like this is a nice imitation of a couch here. Perfect for sitting in front of the fire. So for the mudroom here, I'm thinking we can just throw in a clothes hanger right here, a shelf here with some keys on it. And then I also want to throw some boots here. You know, just a really small, simple little room here where you would kick off all your, you would throw all your gear after a long adventure. So I also have some of these hanging tapestries, which I think look really, really nice. Since I don't have any paintings at the moment. So I think these will kind of help make the walls look a little bit less plain. Already, I feel like this looks a lot more homey. So for the dining room, I'm just gonna go for a simple little setup here. It's not gonna be anything too crazy, but it'll get the job done. And kind of my goal with this section of the house is I want it to be very homey. So right now my goal is just to get a nice basic little layout here. Kind of putting in the main furnishings, and then I can come in later and actually start detailing it out. Here's a nice office that we can sit at, and it's also a loft into the main room. Kind of an idea here is that the fire keeps the whole house warm, so it's sort of this centralized little location. And I actually really love the way this looks, being able to see the ocean from the atrium here. Really, really cool. Of course, we also have the balcony here as well. So we're gonna have to put a lot of seating around here, as well as our bedroom. It's gonna look really nice though once it's finished. I think I'm gonna start hanging up some of these tapestries. It's kind of around the walls here, a little bit nicer, not so like stone cold. And actually, we have this huge attic up here as well, which not only allows me to access the roof, but we could probably put tons and tons of storage up here if we need to. So kind of my idea for this upstairs room is I want just a nice little basic seating area. My thought is you'd be up here drinking, looking down at the fire, getting a beautiful view of the ocean as well as the exterior there. There's plenty of cabinets up here as well. You have storage up here that you can grab from. I feel like this would be a nice little seating area too, just right here. And I also wanted to add seating out here on the balcony. I feel like this would be the place to be out here. There we go. Perfect. Oh gosh, the sunset looks so good. Yeah, I can imagine hanging out here, having some nice drinks. You can see the watchtower. You can see the sunset from here. I really, really love how this house is turning out right now. So I want to actually start getting rid of some of these torches and placing down lanterns instead. I feel like the lanterns just look so much homier than torches do. Like an end table over here. Even add some lanterns just outside here. And another thing I kind of forgot to add was actually these window planters. So I want to start adding these around the house as well. I feel like the window planters just really homey up the place. I kind of like using these end tables to hold the lanterns. I feel like it just looks a lot nicer. Eventually, I also want to put a nice little chandelier in here as well. I think that'd be really cool if we had a chandelier hanging down from the top floor down here. And we also need a small chandelier above the kitchen table here. Before we go and do that, I want to actually add in our window planters here, just on these windows. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to get rid of our planks here, but gosh, the Enderman like jump scared me. But I feel like the window planters look so much better. I have to be super careful. I really don't want to like look at the Enderman by accident here. Yeah, now it just adds like a nice additional kind of layer. Maybe we can get rid of the one in the middle and stick with our board idea here. Yeah, I feel like that's a kind of a good blend. So we don't want it on every single window, but on a couple of the windows, it looks totally fine. We can actually get rid of our staircase up. Definitely on these side windows here where we don't have a lot going on. Eventually, I will need to return to the beach and grab proper glass because I don't really quite like how this window looks being like super open like that. But I think for now it's fine. I can't be too picky about it. Let's add in our chandelier here above the dining table. Looks so much nicer. And then I also want to do a chandelier kind of hanging down from the atrium right over this area here. And if my idea for that is we can just have chains hanging down here, and we can place the chandelier just like that. It's not going to be centered, but that's totally fine. We can light it up with our flint and steel. I really like that. That's kind of cool. So some more details I want to add in is I actually want to take more vertical quarters and just put these in the corners of the walls here. I feel like it's such a small detail, but it really makes the room look so much better. I think I'm just going to do this in all the quarters here. Yeah, That looks really, really cool. In this room, I actually want to add a candle holder here. We have a little light in here that was from the previous build, but my main goal is I want to get rid of all the torches that are in here. So I'm going to replace them all with the candle holders here. And eventually when I get more wool, I want to actually place down some beds in here. But for now, I don't really have any because I haven't found too many sheep. So yeah, once I get more wool, I'll actually start furnishing the rooms with beds. But for now, I'm really happy with how this house is turning out. Kind of some basic furnishings here, but I think it's turning out really nice. So I think maybe in the next episode, when I have a little bit more time, I'll actually come in and start doing even more decorations. But right now, I'm really happy with how the house is turning out. And now we have ourselves a proper home here. Before we were just staying in the tavern, so it's kind of nice. Now we have a reason to actually come back home because we have something nice here. And now that the house is actually finished, I'm curious to see what it looks like from the tower here, especially with the smokestack here. So let's make our way back to Bear's Den. Eventually too, I would love to actually add a nice little cobblestone pathway leading through the woods to the house as well. Here we are back at the Angry Bear, the good old tavern. We have our trusty dogs here waiting for us. I love the tavern. I think this in combination with the house is really going to make this world feel so... This world to me feels so special because I have so many different locations to visit and walk to and from. From the balcony, we actually have kind of a nice view of the house from here. It's still kind of obstructed by the trees, but I don't want to cut too many of these down. But let's head up to the tower. I really want to get a nice overview of everything. Perfect, I think we're making it just in time for sunset too. Now we can see the house from the tower. Can't quite see the smokestack. I think we're a little bit too far away for the render distance here, but it's still really pretty. But thankfully we're close enough to the tavern to see how that looks. But kind of getting a closer shot of the house at nighttime here. It looks really stunning, and I love the huge smokestack coming out the top. Yeah, I really love the house. It turned out super cozy. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, longer building yappy type video. I really appreciate you subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.